Let me ask you something. How many times have you been told that money is the key to happiness? Yet you've met people who are rich in wealth, but bankrupt in joy. Or maybe you've seen the opposite. People who have very little, but wake up every morning with peace, love, and energy that can light up a room. So what's the truth? The truth is wealth and happiness are not separate paths. They are two sides of the same coin. You can't live in abundance if you feel empty inside. And you can't feel fulfilled if your life is chained by financial stress. I'm here to tell you there is a way to have both, a life of purpose and prosperity, success and serenity, because wealth without happiness is failure, and happiness without growth is temporary. Today, I'm going to share with you 7 strategies, not theories, not cliches, but real actionable principles that have transformed ordinary people into extraordinary souls. These are the same strategies that build not just empires, but legacies. So if you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever looked at your life and said, I know there's more in me than what I'm living right now, then stay with me till the end of this talk, because the next 30 minutes could awaken something powerful inside you, something that will change the way you see success, wealth, and happiness forever. Let me tell you something straight. Everything starts in your mind. Every dollar you'll ever earn, every dream you'll ever live, every relationship you'll ever create, it all begins with a single thought, a single belief, a single decision about what's possible for you. Most people don't realize that they are not limited by their potential. They're limited by their mindset. It's not your background that holds you back. It's the story you keep telling yourself about your background. I've met people who had nothing, no education, no resources, no support, but they had one thing, a relentless belief that they could create more. And I've met others who had everything, connections, money, opportunities, yet they stayed stuck because deep down they didn't believe they deserved more. That's the difference. The mind can either be your greatest ally or your most dangerous enemy. It's the invisible force that determines whether you rise or remain. So when we talk about mastering your mindset, we're talking about taking control of that inner conversation that runs your life. Because let's be honest, your thoughts are not just random. They're shaping your destiny. Most people wake up in the morning and start repeating yesterday's thoughts, the same worries, the same doubts, the same fears. And then they wonder why their life doesn't change. You can't live an extraordinary life with an ordinary mindset. You can't expect new results while repeating old beliefs. The first step is awareness. Start paying attention to the language you use with yourself. When you say, I can't, I'm not good enough, or it's too hard, you're programming your mind to find proof of those limitations. The brain is a powerful servant, but a terrible master. It listens to every command you give it. If you say, I can't handle this, it shuts down your creativity. But when you say, I'll figure this out, your mind starts looking for solutions. That's the difference between staying stuck and stepping forward. The truth is, your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant grows. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and scarcity, you'll harvest excuses and limitations. But if you plant seeds of faith, gratitude, and abundance, you'll harvest opportunities and growth. It's not magic. It's psychology. You can't control the weather, the economy, or other people, but you can control your focus. And where focus goes, energy flows. Some people spend their whole lives focusing on what they don't have, what's missing, what's wrong, and then they wonder why they feel stuck and unhappy. But successful, fulfilled people have trained their minds to focus on what they can control, what they can learn, and what they can give. They've learned to see challenges as opportunities, failures as lessons, and uncertainty as a test of growth. That's the mindset of mastery. When you shift your focus from what's missing to what's possible, your world expands. You stop being the victim of your circumstances and become the creator of your destiny. The most successful people in the world don't have fewer problems. They have better beliefs. They interpret life differently. They ask empowering questions like, what can I learn from this? Or how can I use this to grow? Instead of, why is this happening to me? And let's talk about belief for a moment. Belief is the foundation of every achievement. If you believe something is impossible, your mind shuts down, it stops searching. But when you believe there's a way, your mind goes to work. It becomes a heat-seeking missile for solutions. That's why confidence isn't arrogance. It's the courage to trust yourself even when circumstances haven't yet caught up with your vision. You don't get what you want in life, you get what you believe you deserve. Think about that. You can dream of success, but if deep down you believe you're not worthy of it, you'll sabotage yourself every time. You'll delay, procrastinate, or settle. Not because you can't achieve more, but because your identity hasn't caught up with your potential. You've got to raise your standards. You've got to say, this is who I am now. This is the kind of life I live. When your identity shifts, your actions follow, and your results transform. One of the fastest ways to upgrade your mindset is to change your environment. Surround yourself with people who challenge your limits, not reinforce them. People who remind you of your potential, not your past. You become like the people you spend the most time with. Energy is contagious, so choose your circle wisely. And don't underestimate the power of gratitude in mastering your mind. Gratitude is the antidote to fear. When you live in a state of appreciation, there's no space for lack. You start to realize how rich you already are in experiences and relationships and life itself. And from that place, you create more. Gratitude doesn't make you complacent. It fuels your drive with joy instead of stress. So Master your mind and you master your life. Reprogram your beliefs and you rewire your destiny. Every transformation begins with a decision. The decision to no longer let your past define your future, to no longer live by default but by design. The moment you choose to take control of your thoughts, your emotions, your focus, that's the moment your life begins to shift. Because wealth doesn't start in your wallet. It starts in your mind. Most people chase financial success thinking that once they have enough money, happiness will follow. But you and I both know people who have everything they ever dreamed of. The cars, the house, the lifestyle, and yet they feel empty inside. They wake up anxious, restless, unfulfilled. Why? Because they built their financial wealth, but never built their emotional wealth. They became rich in things, but poor in peace. And here's the truth. If you don't master your emotions, you'll never feel truly wealthy, no matter how much you earn, achieve, or own. Emotional wealth is the ability to stay centered, grateful, and fulfilled regardless of your circumstances. It's the power to remain calm in chaos, confident in uncertainty, and loving in the face of fear. It's not about ignoring pain. It's about not being controlled by it. You can't live a beautiful life if your emotions are running your decisions. Because emotions create your actions and actions create your destiny. If you don't take charge of how you feel, you're handing the steering wheel of your life to whatever happens around you. Think about it. How many times have you said, I'll be happy when? I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I find the right person, when I make a certain amount of money. You reach that milestone and sure, you feel great for a while, but then that feeling fades. Why? Because happiness built on conditions is temporary, it's fragile, it depends on something outside of you. But emotional wealth is unconditional. It's built on your inner state, not your outer status. When you learn to generate joy, peace, and gratitude from within, nothing outside can take that away from you. People think emotions just happen, but emotions are choices. They're patterns you've practiced so many times that they've become automatic. Stress, frustration, anger, these aren't random, they're rehearsed responses. But so are peace, gratitude, and love. You can condition your mind and body to feel good no matter what. It's a muscle you build. The more you practice feeling grateful, the easier it becomes to return to that state. The more you practice calmness, the stronger it gets. The real measure of wealth is not how much you have, but how much you can enjoy. Some of the wealthiest people I've met are the ones who wake up excited, laugh easily, and find meaning in the smallest moments. They're not waiting for something big to make them happy. They're living with a mindset that everything is a gift. They know that happiness isn't something to pursue, it's something to practice. And I'll tell you something, your emotional state determines how you see and respond to life. If you live in fear, you'll see risk everywhere. If you live in gratitude, you'll see opportunity. The same situation can break one person and build another, simply because of how they interpret it. So if you want to create real freedom, start by mastering your inner world. Because when you can control how you feel, no one can control you. Now, emotional wealth doesn't mean you never feel pain. Pain is inevitable, but suffering, that's optional. Pain is what life gives you. Suffering is what your mind adds to it. You can experience heartbreak and still choose compassion. You can face loss and still choose gratitude. That's emotional strength. It's not denial, it's decision. You decide who you're going to be even when life tests you. And let's be honest, life will test you. There will be days you wake up tired, uncertain, overwhelmed. But those are the days when your emotional muscles grow. That's when you get to practice patience, resilience, and faith. Because it's easy to be positive when everything's working. True mastery is staying centered. When it's not, that's where growth happens. One of the most powerful ways to build emotional wealth is through gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to fear and scarcity. You can't be grateful and fearful at the same time. You can't be angry and grateful at the same time. When you focus on what's right instead of what's wrong, what's working instead of what's missing, you shift your entire vibration. Gratitude turns obstacles into opportunities. It doesn't change your circumstances immediately, but it changes you, and that changes everything. Another key to emotional wealth is connection. You can have all the success in the world, but if you don't have love, you're starving emotionally. Relationships are the ultimate amplifier of happiness. Give more, love deeper, listen longer. When you make others feel seen and valued, you're reminded of your own worth. Contribution isn't just about helping others. It's one of the most powerful ways to heal yourself. When you give, you grow. When you serve, you soar. You also need to learn the art of emotional reset. Don't let one bad moment become a bad day or one bad day become a bad life. Train yourself to shift your state quickly. Move your body, change your focus, breathe differently. Emotion is created by motion. You can't stay depressed if you stand tall, breathe deep, and focus on something empowering. Your body language, your breath, your thoughts, they're all connected. The fastest way to change how you feel is to change what you do in this moment. Emotional wealth is not a gift. It's a discipline. You have to choose it daily. You have to train your mind the way an athlete trains their body. You have to remind yourself that peace is power, because when your emotions serve you instead of sabotage you, you become unstoppable. So stop chasing happiness, build it. Stop waiting for joy, create it. The richest life you can live begins the moment you realize that your emotions are your greatest currency, and how you spend them will determine how truly wealthy you become. Clarity is power. Without a clear vision, life will pull you in 1,000 different directions, and you'll end up exhausted but not fulfilled. Most people don't live the life they want because they've never taken the time to define what that life actually looks like. They're busy. working hard, running fast, but they're running in circles. You can't hit a target you can't see, and you can't create a life you haven't clearly imagined. Vision gives meaning to your effort. It's what turns struggle into purpose and action into fulfillment. When you wake up every morning without a compelling vision, your mind immediately gets hijacked by distractions, emails, problems, other people's expectations. You start reacting instead of creating. But when you have a vision that excites you, you're not pulled by your circumstances, you're pulled by your purpose. You don't need to be pushed anymore because something greater is guiding you. Vision is that force, it's the internal compass that keeps you on track when the path gets hard. So ask yourself right now, what do you really want your life to look like? Not what you think you should want, not what others expect of you, what you truly desire. Most people answer that question with surface goals: more money, a better house, more freedom. But if you dig deeper, what they really want is what those things represent: peace, meaning joy, love, contribution. The external goals are only vehicles to experience internal emotions. If you skip that deeper layer, you'll achieve the goal, but still feel something's missing. A powerful vision is emotional, not logical. It's not just a list of goals. It's a vivid picture of the life that would make you feel alive. You've got to be able to see it, feel it, taste it, believe in it before it happens. Because the brain doesn't respond to vague ideas, it responds to emotion and specificity. When you can clearly visualize the life you want, you give your subconscious a destination. And once the mind has a clear target, it starts noticing opportunities, people, and patterns that align with it. That's not luck, that's focus. You have to take the time to design that vision deliberately. Sit down, close your eyes, and imagine your ideal day 5 or 10 years from now. What does it look like when you wake up? Who are you with? What kind of work are you doing? How do you feel when you walk through your home, your office, your life? Don't just think it, feel it in your body. Let it move you emotionally. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the commitment, because emotion creates motion. And then once you know what that vision is, align your actions with it. Every decision either moves you closer to your vision or further away from it. There's no in between. You can't say you want health, but keep eating junk. You can't say you want love, but keep closing your heart. You can't say you want wealth, but keep living in fear. Your actions must be congruent with your vision. That alignment creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. The reason most people lose motivation is not because they're lazy. It's because they've lost sight of their vision. They're working without a why. But when you're connected to something that deeply matters to you, discipline turns into devotion. You don't have to force yourself to get up early or push through the hard days because you're emotionally invested in what you're building. That's the difference between people who burn out and people who break through. Now, having a vision doesn't mean you'll have a straight path. Every great vision will be tested. Life will throw challenges your way not to stop you, but to strengthen you. Obstacles are there to ask, how badly do you really want this? When you know your why, you can handle any how. When your vision is strong enough, it gives you the resilience to keep going even when the results aren't visible yet. Because deep down, you know where you're going. And that faith creates certainty. It's also important to remember that your vision isn't just about you. The most fulfilling visions always include others. Your family, your community, humanity itself. When your vision expands beyond your own comfort and becomes about contribution, it gains spiritual power. The more people your vision serves, the stronger it pulls you. It stops being about success and starts being about significance. But to live your vision, you have to make it part of your identity. You can't just write it down and hope it happens. You have to embody it, speak it, act it, live it before it manifests. Every time you take a step in alignment with that vision, you're telling the universe, this is who I am. And when your identity aligns with your vision, reality has no choice but to catch up. Don't let fear make your vision small. Don't design your future based on your past. You are not your history. You are your decisions. The life you see in your mind is not fantasy. It's a preview of what's possible when faith meets action. The only reason you see that vision is because it's meant for you. It's your potential calling you forward. So take ownership of it, live from it, not toward it. Every great achievement in history started as a vision in someone's mind. The power that created their dreams lives inside you too, waiting to be awakened by clarity, belief, and purpose. Because when you design a vision that pulls you forward, you stop chasing life and life starts chasing you. Growth is the heartbeat of fulfillment. The moment you stop growing, you start dying, not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Human beings are wired to expand. We're meant to evolve, to stretch beyond what's comfortable, to become more than we were yesterday. Think about it when you look back at the times in your life when you felt most alive. It wasn't when things were easy. It was when you were challenged, when you were learning, when you were pushing beyond what you thought was possible. Growth gives life meaning because it reminds you that you're capable of creating, not just existing. But here's the truth most people miss. They want a better life. Yet they don't want to become better people. They want bigger results without bigger effort, more success without more skills, and deeper happiness without deeper awareness. That's not how life works. The quality of your life will always mirror the quality of your growth. If you want to have more, you have to become more. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. When you stop learning, you start repeating. And repetition without progress creates frustration. That's why so many people feel stuck, not because they lack opportunity, but because they've stopped expanding. They've settled into routines that keep them comfortable but unfulfilled. Growth requires discomfort. It demands curiosity, humility, and courage. It's the willingness to be a beginner again, to risk looking foolish, to admit you don't know everything. That humility is where transformation begins. The greatest investment you'll ever make isn't in the stock market or real estate. It's in yourself. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every conversation with someone wiser than you, it all compounds. It's like interest on your potential. Over time, the smallest daily improvements become the biggest breakthroughs. People overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in a decade of consistent growth. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. You have to decide that you're no longer going to live on autopilot. You have to make learning a habit, not a hobby. Ask yourself daily, what can I learn from this moment? What's the lesson here? Because life is always teaching. The question is whether you're paying attention. Every problem is feedback. Every setback is education. The difference between people who thrive and those who merely survive is not the absence of problems, it's the ability to grow through them. If you study the most fulfilled people in the world, not just the richest or the most famous, but the ones who radiate peace and power, they all have one thing in common: they're obsessed with growth. They're constantly feeding their minds, challenging their limits, seeking new ways to serve. They know that progress equals happiness. You don't have to reach perfection to feel alive. You just need to feel like you're moving forward. And let me tell you something powerful: growth doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes growth looks like struggle, like failure, like uncertainty. But that's the soil where transformation happens. The tree doesn't grow without resistance from the wind. It grows because of it. In the same way, your challenges aren't here to punish you. They're here to prepare you. They stretch your capacity so you can handle the next level of life. Without struggle, you'd never discover your strength. The key is to shift how you see growth. Most people associate it with pressure or perfection, but real growth is about progress, not performance. It's not about comparing yourself to others. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Comparison is the thief of joy. It kills growth because it shifts your focus outward. The moment you stop measuring your worth by someone else's achievements, you free yourself to evolve at your own pace. Growth also requires environment. You can't grow in toxic soil. If you're surrounded by people who complain and settle, that energy will seep into you. You become like the people you spend the most time with. Surround yourself with those who challenge you, who see your greatness even when you don't, who hold you accountable to your highest standards. Growth is contagious when you're around the right people. And remember this: growth without contribution is incomplete. As you grow, share what you learn. Teach others, mentor someone, inspire someone who's struggling. Because when you help others rise, you solidify your own growth. What you give multiplies. Every time you use your knowledge to serve, you transform it into wisdom. Growth isn't a phase, it's a lifestyle. It's a commitment to never stop becoming. Life will always present new seasons, times to expand, times to let go, times to rebuild. Don't resist them. Embrace the evolution. There's a part of you that's limitless, but you'll never meet that version of yourself if you stay in your comfort zone. So learn, stretch, challenge your limits. Because the more you grow, the more alive you feel. And the more alive you feel, the more you have to give. Growth is the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to be. Most people spend their entire life chasing money, yet they never take the time to understand it. They run faster, work harder, do more, but they still feel trapped. That's because they become servants to money instead of making money serve them. You can't find freedom by chasing paper. You find freedom by mastering the game behind it. And that game isn't about greed. It's about control, awareness, and purpose. When you master money, it stops being your source of stress and starts becoming your tool for impact. Money by itself doesn't make you happy, but financial stress can absolutely destroy your peace. It's not the lack of money that hurts most people. It's the lack of clarity and strategy. They live reactive lives, hoping things will just work out. But wealth doesn't come from hope. It comes from habit. You don't need to be a genius to become financially free. You just need to understand the rules of the game and play them with consistency. The first rule is simple. You have to respect money. Whatever you disrespect will leave you. Most people avoid looking at their finances because it makes them uncomfortable. They don't want to face their spending, their debt, or their lack of savings. But avoidance is expensive. You can't manage what you won't measure. You have to take ownership of every dollar because every dollar is a decision. When you know where your money goes, you regain power. When you don't, you hand your power to circumstance. The second rule: stop trading time for money forever. That's the trap most people live in. They exchange hours for income, but time is the one thing you can never get back. Real wealth is when your money works harder than you do. That means building systems, investments, businesses, assets that continue to generate income while you sleep. You want your money to be your employee, not your master. That's how you move from survival to freedom. But let's be clear, mastering money doesn't start with more income. It starts with better mindset. You have to shift from a consumer mentality to a creator mentality. Most people earn to spend, not to grow. They buy things to look rich instead of building assets to become rich. The truth is, Financial freedom is less about how much you make and more about how much you keep, how you multiply it, and how you use it. You could double your income tomorrow. But if your habits stay the same, your stress will too. So ask yourself, what's your relationship with money? Do you fear it, chase it, or respect it? Because the emotions you attach to money dictate your results. If you see money as evil, you'll subconsciously push it away. If you see it as freedom, you'll attract more of it through smart choices and purposeful action. Money simply amplifies who you already are. If you're generous, it gives you more to give. If you're careless, it multiplies the consequences. That's why emotional and financial mastery go hand in hand. You also need to understand that money follows value. If you want to earn more, become more valuable, solve bigger problems, help more people, the marketplace doesn't reward time, rewards impact. The more people you serve, the greater your earning potential becomes. Stop asking, how can I make more money? And start asking, how can I create more value? That's the question that changes everything. Another truth most people overlook, you can't save your way to wealth, but you can't build wealth without saving either. Saving gives you stability, investing gives you growth. You need both. Saving protects you from uncertainty, investing creates your future. Don't wait until you have enough to invest. Start small, but start now. Every dollar you invest is a soldier working for your future freedom. Compounding is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, but it only works for those who start early and stay consistent. And here's something even deeper. Financial freedom is not about having more, it's about needing less. It's about designing a life where your peace is not dependent on your paycheck, because no amount of money will ever make you feel safe if you haven't learned to feel abundant without it. True freedom is waking up in the morning knowing you own your time, your choices, your direction. It's living by intention, not obligation. Money also magnifies purpose. Once your needs are met, the real joy of wealth comes from using it to create impact, to build, to give, to uplift. There's no greater fulfillment than knowing your success is helping others succeed. The secret to long-term happiness isn't accumulation, it's contribution when you use your resources to make life better. For your family, your community, or even a stranger, that's when wealth becomes meaningful. But to reach that level, you have to stop being emotional about money and start being strategic. The market will go up and down, opportunities will come and go, but your discipline must remain. Don't chase quick wins. Don't gamble your future on impulses. Play the long game. Focus on growth, patience, and purpose. Build something that lasts. And remember, mastering money is not about the numbers. It's about freedom. Freedom to choose what you do, who you spend time with, and how you live each day. That's the real definition of wealth. Because when your money serves your vision instead of your fears, you're no longer working for survival, you're living for significance. There comes a point in life when you realize that real wealth isn't just about what you achieve, it's about what you give. You can build success, you can accumulate comfort, you can reach every milestone you ever dreamed of, but if it's only about you, something will always feel missing, because the deepest fulfillment doesn't come from taking more, it comes from giving more, from growing and knowing that your life is making a difference beyond yourself. Contribution isn't just the final stage of success, it's the soul of it. We live in a world that constantly tells us to get, to acquire, to accumulate. But no matter how much you collect, you'll always feel a sense of emptiness if you're not expanding and contributing. Think about it. The moments in your life when you felt truly alive were never about what you got. They were about what you gave. Maybe it was helping a friend when they needed you most. Maybe it was lifting someone up with a kind word. Or maybe it was offering something yourself when you had very little to give. Those moments fill you in a way nothing else can. Because deep down, the human spirit is wired for growth and generosity. When you stop growing, you start dying. You stop giving, you stop feeling alive. Growth and contribution are like oxygen to the soul. You need both to feel fulfilled. One without the other leaves you incomplete. Growth without contribution becomes self-centered. Contribution without growth burns out. The secret is to grow so that you have more to give, and to give so that you keep growing. That's the cycle that creates lasting happiness. And contribution doesn't always mean money. It's about impact. It's about presence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can give someone is your time, your attention, your belief in them when they've stopped believing in themselves. It's the way you make people feel, the energy you bring into a room, the example you set by how you live. Every day you have a chance to make a difference. Through your words, your actions, your kindness. You never know who's watching you, who's being inspired quietly by your resilience or your courage to keep going when you shift your focus from what can I get to what can I give? Something magical happens, your energy expands, fear disappears, stress fades, because you're no longer trapped in yourself. You're connected to something greater. Contribution gets you out of your head and into your heart. And from that place, creativity flows, peace returns, and joy naturally rises. There's also a beautiful paradox in giving. The more you give, the richer you feel. You could be in the toughest season of your life and still find joy through contribution, because giving reminds you that you already have something to offer. It reminds you that no matter how hard life feels, you are not powerless. You have something inside you that can create change, that can heal, that can uplift. And when you give from that place, life gives back in ways you never expect. Sometimes people say, when I have more, I'll give more. But it doesn't work that way. If you don't give when you have little, you won't give when you have plenty. Giving is a mindset, not a condition. It's a declaration that you already live in abundance. that you have enough to share, enough to make a difference. And when you operate from that place, you attract more abundance into your life, not because of luck, but because generosity opens doors that fear keeps closed. But contribution isn't only about helping others. It's also how you feed your own soul. You can meditate, achieve, or accumulate all you want, but until you give, you'll never feel the depth of meaning you're capable of. Life isn't about what you can keep, it's about what you can create. It's about leaving something behind, not just money or possessions, but impact, love, memories, and examples of what's possible. When you live a life that uplifts others, you become part of something eternal. And the truth is, giving doesn't drain you, it sustains you. It reminds you why you're here. It connects you to humanity. It keeps your heart open in a world that often tries to harden it. Every time you give, you tell your mind, I am not limited. You remind yourself that there's always enough love, enough opportunity, enough life to go around. That mindset of abundance transforms not only your finances or relationships, but your entire experience of living. The final level of wealth is spiritual wealth, knowing that your existence matters. That because you lived someone else's life became better. That's the ultimate return on investment. And it's not about being perfect or famous or extraordinary. It's about showing up every day and doing what you can with what you have from where you are. It's about living with intention, with kindness, with purpose. When you grow, you expand your capacity to give. And when you give, you amplify the meaning of your growth. That's the loop that keeps you fulfilled for a lifetime. Because at the end of the day, when the applause fades and the achiever behind you, the only question that really matters is this: did I live, did I love, and did I give? Because the secret to living is giving. And that's where true wealth begins.